You know that feeling when a show ends and you're just sitting there staring at the credits asking yourself, wait, that's it? That's exactly how millions of fans felt after the summer. I turned pretty dropped at series finale. And let me tell you, this wasn't just a normal heartbreak. This was the kind of ending that split the fandom in half, broke shipping wars wide open, and left everyone asking the same question. Did Belly really make the right choice? Or was this just Jenny Han stacking the deck in Conrad's favor from the very beginning? Now, before we go full deep dive, let me just confess something. I was one of those people who swore I'd never get pulled into the Team Conrad vs. Team Jeremiah war. I thought, nope, not me. I'm just here for the story, for the beach vibes, for the nostalgia. And then, suddenly I'm pacing my room at 3 a.m., screaming at fictional characters like they owe me rent money. So if you've ever argued about this love triangle with your friends, or worse, strangers on the internet, you are not alone. But here's where it gets really wild. Because on the surface, the finale feels like a happy ending. Belly chooses Conrad, the star-crossed lovers reunite, and the story ties itself in a neat little bow. Or does it? Because if you look closer, if you really dig into the choices the writers made, you start to notice something strange. Almost like the finale wasn't the real ending at all. Almost like the show was hiding something from us. And trust me, they were. Here's the forbidden knowledge that most casual fans missed in the book trilogy doesn't actually end where the show cut off. No. There's a continuation, a wedding, and a resolution that was deliberately held back. Why? Because the studio already has bigger plans. Plans for a movie that will give us closure, or maybe rip our hearts out all over again. And yes, we're going to talk about it. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to deal with the most controversial part of this entire finale, the so-called choice. Because I don't know about you, but watching Belly finally lean into her feelings for Conrad didn't feel like a fairy tale payoff. It felt like a funeral. The death of Jeremiah's hope, the death of balance, the death of a love triangle that was supposed to keep us guessing. So let me ask you this, was this ending inevitable? Or was it forced? Did Belly choose Conrad because her heart demanded it? Or because Jenny Han wanted the story to line up neatly with her books? And more importantly, what does that mean for Jeremiah? Because let's face it, he was the biggest loser of this finale, and fans are furious about it. Now, I know some of you watching are already rolling your eyes. Of course it was always Conrad. That's the point. That's how it was written. Team Jeremiah kids need to stop whining. And to that I say really? Really? You're telling me you didn't see the pain in Jeremiah's eyes when he realized he was being written out of his own love story? You didn't notice how rushed the finale felt? Like we were skipping pages in the most important chapter of his life. This is where things get controversial. Because Belly and Conrad's reunion might make sense on paper, but emotionally, it leaves a lot of fans unsatisfied. And that dissatisfaction isn't a mistake, it's intentional. The writers are saving the real closure for later. And that's why if you haven't already, you need to hit that subscribe button right now, because the continuation of this story, the part almost no one is talking about yet, isn't on Amazon Prime. It's hidden in the movie continuation. And that's where the truth is. Think about it. Belly's choice isn't the climax, it's the setup. The wedding, the aftermath, Jeremiah's healing, Stephen and Taylor's future. None of that was resolved. It's like closing a book halfway through the epilogue and saying, yeah, good enough. That's why so many fans walked away from the finale feeling hollow. We didn't get the answers. We didn't get the payoff. We got a cliffhanger disguised as closure. And honestly, that's the genius of it. Because now, whether you're Team Conrad, Team Jeremiah, or, let's be honest, the secret Team Stephen supporters who just want their boy to win for once, we're all locked in for the next chapter. But here's the dangerous truth. This happy ending may not be as permanent as it looks. Belly and Conrad's reunion in the finale looks clean, but it's fragile. And the cracks in that foundation are already there if you know where to look. So the question becomes, did the writers just give us a band-aid ending? A temporary fix until they reveal the real finale in the movie? Or is this truly Belly's forever choice? And more importantly, how much heartbreak is Jeremiah still destined to endure before the story finally lets him breathe? Because let's face it, The Summer I Turned Pretty isn't just a romance. It's a cycle of longing, loss, and second chances. And if you think this cycle ended with one kiss on the beach, you haven't been paying attention. Alright, let's peel back the curtain. Because what the finale gave us versus what the finale hid from us? Those are two completely different stories. And here's the secret the writers don't want casual viewers to notice. Belly and Conrad's ending wasn't meant to feel final. It was meant to feel temporary. Think about it. If you were satisfied, if you felt the circle was truly closed, would you be here right now, watching this breakdown? No. You'd be out living your best life. But instead, you're here, probably with your phone in one hand and a snack in the other, replaying the finale in your head and whispering, "Wait, but what about Jeremiah? What about cousins? What about the wedding? That's not closure. That's bait. And you took it. We all did." Let me put it this way, the finale wasn't the destination. It was a bridge. A shiny, emotional, heart-fluttering bridge that carried us from the series to the movie. And if you think that's just a theory, consider this. The book trilogy had a wedding epilogue. A literal wedding. Belly and Conrad's future wasn't just implied, it was shown. So why cut that out of the show? Why rob us of the moment fans have been waiting years for? Here's why. Because Prime Video wants your ticket money. They're holding the wedding hostage until the movie drops. And that means what we saw in episode 11 wasn't the real finale at all. It was a prologue. Now, here's where it gets juicy. Belly's big confession. If there are infinite worlds, every version of me chooses you? Sounds like the ultimate love line, right? Almost Shakespearean. But if you really think about it, it's terrifying. Because what she's saying is that Jeremiah never had a chance. Not in this world, not in any world. He was fighting a battle that was already lost. And the writers knew that. They made us root for him anyway, just to break our hearts in the end. Let me ask you, do you think that's cruel storytelling or brilliant storytelling? Drop a comment right now. Team Cruel or Team Brilliant? I want to see where this audience really stands. And speaking of audience stands, let's talk Jeremiah. Because let's be honest, his arc in the finale felt unfinished. Yes, he had that moment of growth when he admitted he was selfish during his engagement to Belly. Yes, he shared a kiss with Denise, which was cute. But does anyone really believe Jeremiah's story is over? Of course not. That kiss wasn't closure. It was a consolation prize, and honestly, it felt like when a teacher hands you a participation ribbon and says, "Good job, champ." Like, thanks. But this man carried half the fandom on his shoulders, and you're telling me his grand reward is a kiss in the kitchen while Conrad gets the girl and the Paris montage. Please. Now, if you're Team Conrad, I can already hear you typing in the comments. Stop crying, Jeremiah fans. He had his chance. Belly chose Conrad, end of story. But if you really believe that, let me hit you with a forbidden piece of knowledge. In Jenny Han's original vision, Jeremiah was always supposed to be the safe option. The easy road. The comfort after the storm. But the irony, that safe choice would have been the most dangerous one. Because Jeremiah never really pushed Belly to grow. Conrad did. And that's the heartbreaking truth. Jeremiah loved her, but Conrad challenged her. Jeremiah wanted stability, but Conrad offered chaos and depth. Which raises the biggest question of all. Do you think real love should feel safe, or should it feel overwhelming? Think about that for a second. If you had to choose between comfort and passion, which would you pick? Drop it in the comments, because I guarantee this debate will never end. Now let's loop back to Belly herself. Because here's the controversial take: Belly isn't the hero of this love triangle. She's the villain. Yes, I said it. Belly strung Jeremiah along. She doubted Conrad. She lashed out during Susanna's funeral. And yet, at the end of the story, she walks away with the happy ending while the Fisher brothers pick up the pieces.